Breaking news, House Speaker John Boehner gathering the Republicans into a caucus right now. The vote on his Plan B fiscal cliff bill is delayed. Let me just put in a little bit of notion here. I've never been in one of these because I've never been a House member, but basically the Republicans will leave the floor and they will go into a meeting room just off the floor. This is inside the Capitol on the House side. And there are several meeting rooms where they can go. Undoubtedly, Speaker John Boehner will be the principal man to talk to them. And he's going to once again make his pitch to pass the Plan B. It's extending the tax cuts to $1 million permanently, and it also added some spending cuts earlier this evening of a couple of $100 billion. It's a fair amount of money. Boehner will make his pitch. He needs help. He needs support. Our own John Harwood argued or surmised earlier that they could be short 20 votes. You can't lose much more than 20 votes. So that's what Mr. Boehner. Undoubtedly, the majority leader, the number 2 Republican, Eric Cantor, a strong pro-growth supply-side Republican who has backed Plan B from the get-go, he will also speak to the Republican caucus in this so-called recess in the Capitol. And finally, head whip, the number 3 Republican, Kevin McCarthy, he also will ask for their help. People will say, is Boehner going to twist arms? I can't tell for sure because I'm not in there, but I will just say that has not been John Boehner's style to twist arms. He'll make an intellectual argument. He may make a political argument vis-a-vis his position in the GO position and the White House, but I do not know him to give away judgeships and waterways and dams. I saw a little bit of that in the early 80s when I worked for Reagan, but I don't see that now. I could be right or I could be wrong. We got Ben Jealous and Heather Higgins here. Ben Jealous, do you think I got that about right? Boehner's going to make a pitch, Cantor's going to make a pitch, and McCarthy's going to make a pitch. And the fact that they're in there, says they're in trouble.
Well, yeah, yes, the fact that they're there says that they are in trouble. You know, and speaking as somebody who was once a page way back when, you know, they will turn to Paul Ryan to look for him to actually give some encouragement to the troops. He's the only one who can speak to the really kind of crazy folks who right now are not with their speaker.
That's a great point, Heather. He's going to go to Paul Ryan, who has back. I wonder if they'll go to Grover Norquist and do it on a telephone, you know, loudspeaker. Grover backed it.
Just to get some of the flavor that's backed this, when you had Boehner disciplining certain House members and taking them off of committees, particularly the 3 who were conservative, even though he replaced them with other conservatives, that started a fundraising opportunity for a lot of the groups that felt that Boehner was being insufficiently conservative and who felt that part of the reason that the election had been lost was that those principles had not been sufficiently articulated. There's now been, with a number of groups, campaigns going on, fundraising campaigns, you know, let's replace Boehner as Speaker. And this particular issue also, you can understand precisely why conservatives who feel so frustrated want to see serious spending cuts and no give at all on the tax.
$200 billion over 10 years, $20 billion a year is not enough, not serious enough. Is that what you're saying?
What I worry about is, in part, they've bought into the media meme, which is that, well, Boehner might give, but if Harry Reid says he's not going to give, he's never going to give. Well, that's not necessarily true.
That's really bad. That's political negotiation with yourself.
I know, and the
really
Republicans, if you look at this all the way through, have been negotiating.
I got to get out for a break. Just terrific stuff. Heather Higgins, thank you ever so much. Ben Jealous, buddy, you're terrific stuff. We're here. I'm Kudlow. It's our special live fiscal cliff vote coverage. We're going to continue. We're not going anywhere. The House is in an unexpected recess as Speaker Boehner is undoubtedly giving them a pep talk, and maybe Paul Ryan, too. We'll be right back. I'm Larry Kudlow. Announcement from Speaker Boehner that they will not vote tonight. I've just got this information. A special announcement. I don't know whether it's a message or it's an email. How about that? It's an email from Speaker John Boehner that there will be no vote tonight. John Harwood, that sounds like you were dead right. They did not have the votes to vote.
No, this is this is a huge embarrassment for not only the Speaker but also Eric Cantor.
One more piece, John, and they're going into recess till after Christmas. All right, that's no surprise. Please continue your thought. Eric Cantor also spoke. Is that what you were saying?
Eric Cantor and John Boehner had both said that they were going to have the votes to pass this bill. Eric Cantor came out and made a very definitive statement earlier today. The fact that they have abandoned this and that they can't do it suggests that the last gasp now is either for Boehner to have some negotiations negotiations with Obama and permit a bill to the floor even without many Republican votes and let it pass with Democrats and a few Republicans, or we'll go over the cliff. And if we go over the cliff, then the pressure on Republicans is likely to get even greater.
This brings us closer to going over the cliff. Is Heather still, are you still plugged in so I can get your...
I am.
All right, Heather Higgins is with us, and John Harwood in Washington, D.C. This kind of thing gets them closer to going over the cliff, and the tax cuts would expire. Now, how long, we don't know, but the January 1st deadline, the chances of that deadline being broken are much greater as a result of all this going on tonight.
If you start, as I do, with observing Obama's actual positions and the shift in his positions, you come to the conclusion that he probably actually wants us to go over the fiscal cliff. He doesn't mind the fact that taxes are going to go up, particularly if he can blame it on Republicans, and he certainly likes deep spending cuts in defense. He may not like them elsewhere, but in defense, they're all for it.
But hasn't he said the sequester's off the table? He said that, Obama.
If we go off the cliff, it happens.
But then it does.
But then
all
it happens.
kicks in.
The reason that Boehner is doing this is he understands that the spin is going to be the Republicans let this happen. If they had just been reasonable, your taxes would not have gone up. And what I hope that the conservatives who want to be pure, and Reagan understood that you can't always get the whole loaf, that sometimes you go for a part of the loaf that you can get, or you settle, don't let the perfect be the enemy of the good. And what they need to think about is if they go over the cliff, the meme that you hear is, let Obama own it. But how are they going to make sure that Obama owns it when the story is going to be that they wouldn't even vote for extending tax rates for 99% of the American people?
I'm bring in our stock market man, Jim Urio, in a second, but I think it's also the case that Obama does not want a recession to absolutely dominate his second term. I mean, he will blame the Republicans. Yeah, they're going to get, but it would really damage his second term if this recession took hold. We don't know that it would. Now we're going to bring in Catherine Mangu-Ward. She's managing editor at Reason Magazine. Ben Jealous is still with us. Heather Higgins is still with us. All right, Catherine, from your perspective, you're the free market. What do you make of all this goings-on?
So I think that it's actually really important to think about who the individuals are who were the kind of holdouts on this deal. And, you know, these are guys who are taking some flack for wanting to be pure when there's a lot at stake. But, you know, we've got Ron Paul. He's outgoing. He's not going to make his last vote be, you know, an increase in taxes. We've got a few guys who were taken off of their committee spots by Boehner, and they're mad at him. And they just, as far as they're concerned, taught that guy a lesson.
So you're...
Can we just make it clear? This is not a vote for an increase in taxes. This is a vote to extend the present tax rates, which unfortunately, because they were voted in 10 years ago under reconciliation, have never been permanent. It was a vote to take these lower tax rates and make them permanent and make the estate tax rate permanent, which would be actually a huge gain for 99% of the American people who pay income, of those who pay income taxes.
I mean, really, Ben Jealous, I just want to raise this point. Heather is right. She's absolutely right technically. In effect, extending these tax cuts wherever would be a good thing and probably keep us out of recession. But, Ben, can President Obama bluff? Can he risk a recession by letting all the tax cuts expire? Do you think in his beginning, the very beginning of his second term, he's barely inaugurated, and they're going to go over the cliff and into a recession? You think he'd take that risk?
You know, look, he has said, and the folks in Congress should all really hear him on this, let us just do what we can all come to doing right now, which is to say, look, 98% of the people, let's just go ahead and extend those tax cuts. You know, now we see them saying, well, no, we want 99. But then you got these 20 people who won't even vote to raise tax cuts on people who make on people who make more than $1 million. And you got to wonder what their conversation, what their constituents is going to be like, because they don't represent 500,000 people who each make over $1 million. So they're going to have to go back to their constituents and say, look, I could have protected nearly all of you.
No,
but I wouldn't do that for Obama. I wouldn't do it for Boehner. I wouldn't do it for you.
Well, all right, over 1 million, you go to 39.6. Heather, is Republicans, a serious political point, Republicans risk just being the party of rich people here? Is this one of those turning points? They were accused of it during the campaign. Mitt Romney was accused of it. Is this icing on the cake for the Democrats to say the Republicans, all you care about is rich people? Seriously, millionaires and billionaires?
That is how it will be spun. The people who are objecting to this are exactly in the opposite camp of that. They want everybody to be wealthier.
Right.
They want the economy to be stronger. Yes,
Growth.
Republicans want a healthier, wealthier population. Democrats, one could argue,
Social Security.
I'm sorry, Democrats think that you can accomplish it by having the government spend more money and raising tax rates on people. That will kill jobs. And in fact, if you're looking for dependency, that's the Democratic base, right? We need something from government. The Republicans who are opposing this are doing it on principle. They do not want to play into the Democrat mean that the recession was caused by tax cuts, which was nonsense. It was housing policy.
Right.
And they also don't want this division by class, which Obama loves to do, the rich people and the rest of you. They want to say we're all Americans.
And Boehner's Plan B.
We should have a lower, flatter, broader rate.
That's always been, I don't know, my trouble with Boehner's Plan B. I admire what John Boehner's doing, but Boehner's Plan B really plays right into that kind of rhetoric.
It understands.
Much as I admire him on growth grounds, politically, that's a tough sell.
It is a very tough sell, but he is doing it because he understands that he needs to call Obama's bluff. And by saying that he's doing what Obama said he wanted to do, if Obama won't vote on it without the millionaires in there, then you get to see that Obama really isn't so concerned about preventing those tax increases for middle America.
We're going to break. We've got political breaking news and financial breaking news as the vote on the fiscal cliff Plan B has been scrapped for tonight. That's right, scrapped. Major developments going on right now. We'll be back with more updates on this big night right after the break.